Welcome to episode 2 of the podcast dedicated to famous last words, where we take a look behind the scenes into some of the final words, thoughts, and utterances of Earth's mortals. As the last words you will ever speak, they carry a certain weight beyond the ordinary, a certain finality, if you would. I'm Ethan Hill, and today we start with the last words of Cecil Rhodes. He was a British businessman and politician who died in the early 1900s from a heart attack. He was a builder of empires and a miner of diamonds. His 49 years on Earth included becoming the Prime Minister of South Africa, becoming one of the richest men on Earth, and instigating the start of the Boer War in 1899. Yet when he reached the end of it all, he signed off with words that seemed to ring hauntingly true for so many. So little done, so much to do. Now let's set the time machine for 1902 and hear it from the masterful mining magnate himself. The sickly boy was sent to South Africa in hopes that the climate would help bring a positive turn on his poor health, and now at the end of his life we find him in Cape Town, South Africa, where Mr. Rhodes lies ill and quiet in bed.
Beautiful morning, sir. I'm sorry, you were speaking?
So little done. So much to do.
Teenage intellectual prodigy, prison escapee, high-stakes politician, shipwreck survivor, well, almost. The first name that probably doesn't come to mind is Hugo Grotius. Now, Grotius was also a towering figure in philosophy, political theory, and law during the 17th century and for hundreds of years afterwards. He's known for many things such as the just war theory, though he is probably best known to philosophers today for his contributions to the natural law theories of normativity. And we have stepped out here in the year 1645 to a time when the English Civil War rages on and Rembrandt is busy painting The Mill. But our focus is the towering figure of philosophy and law that has been washed ashore from the remains of a shipwreck off Germany's coast in Rostock.
Oh, it's a body.
Is he alive?
It is, barely. Can you hear me?
I have lived my life in a laborious doing of nothing.
And Grotius survived a couple more days of nothing before passing. This man was an English physicist and mathematician, one of the most influential minds behind the scientific revolution and possibly the greatest scientific mind of all time. His list of accomplishments includes some things like, penning the 3 laws of motion which laid the foundation for all of classical mechanics, being the first to formulate the notion of gravity as a universal force. He wrote the Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, one of the most important works in the history of science, if I may say. He discovered the generalized binomial theorem, invented the mathematical theory of calculus. He identified light as the source of color sensation. I also have to throw in that his work on the cubical curves in relation to the Euclidean plane was quite revolutionary for its time. And maybe you're smarter than me and some of these words actually made sense, but I think in setting this up, this context is helpful as we jump in to meet the knighted mathematical genius himself, in case you haven't guessed it, Sir Isaac Newton.
Well, how's it been, sir?
I don't know what I may seem to the world, but as to myself, I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, and diverting myself now and then in finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than the ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me.
Well, if all his accomplishments were merely seashell-level discoveries, I'm kind of worried about what he would have called my life's work. Anyway, moving right along from that depressing thought, I know what you're probably thinking, but could an American murder have anything to say that could cap off the words of one of the brightest mathematical minds of the 17th century? Well, let's jump ahead a few centuries and find out. We've just touched down in the gas chamber of San Quentin State Prison in the year 1992.
Thought you'd get out of this, didn't you? Huh. Court's blocking your gas in and all. Harris? You hear me, Harris?
You can be a king or a street sweeper, but everyone dances with the Grim Reaper.
You can be a king or a street sweeper, but everyone dances with the Grim Reaper. These were the last words of inmate Robert Alton Harris, executed for the murder of 2 boys. It's been said that time is the great equalizer. And I think that's what Robert was getting at here. He actually got a personal ruling from the Supreme Court ordering no further stays, overruling several other federal judges that were attempting to block his execution. His last meal, by request, was 2 large pizzas, a bucket of fried chicken, and ice cream. Did you know Napoleon had a brother, and that brother had a wife, and that wife had last words? Well, it's true, and her name was Elizabeth Bonaparte.
I think she's awake.
Nothing is as certain as death.
She's gone.
And taxes.
Okay, now she's gone.
I don't know about you, but I gain a sense of morbid motivation hearing last words such as these. Mostly Newton and Rhodes, that is, because if these people could achieve so much and feel they accomplish so little, well, how am I doing with the time that I have left? Am I focusing on the things that matter? Infusing importance into the moments and words that I still have left? Because while your words may not be famous, you never know when they will be your last. Use them now for what will actually matter when looking back across the landscape of your life. And in the last words of the author, mime, and actress Colette, she says, "What a wonderful life I've had. Only wished I'd realized it sooner." I mean, what if we lived like every moment was numbered? What if we loved like every interaction was final? Every bucket of fried chicken our last supper? And what if we spoke like every word was our last? And the disclaimer, so it may come as a surprise, but most famous last words really aren't famous or last. So it turns out your famous last words are more often defined by the popularity of the words in the latter part of your life than to the finality or accuracy of them. Elizabeth Bonaparte. I should also mention that much of the dialogue surrounding the quotes has been invented based on, my best understanding of the time and circumstances, because we really can't know exactly what was said during that time.